Do you want to develop a mindset that's strong, confident, and guaranteed to lead you to success? In today's episode, I'm going to share 3 powerful strategies that you can start using right now to build an unshakable mindset. These habits will help you stay focused, overcome challenges, and maintain your confidence no matter what comes your way. By the end of this episode, you're going to have a toolkit to strengthen your mind and achieve your goals with unwavering confidence. Before we dive in, if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. You guys, your mindset almost matters more than anything, or it does matter more than anything. The X's and O's, the what to eat, the how to exercise, the when to exercise, the reps, the sets, all the X's and O's, that stuff matters. But you're never going to execute if you have a poor mindset. You're never going to be consistent with a poor mindset. So mindset matters most. One of my favorite quotes is from Stephen Covey, and it's, "You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are." At any given moment, there's just an infinite number of negative things that are going on in our world, and that can be your experience of the world if that's what you focus on. But simultaneously, all of you guys know there's an infinite number of positive things that are going on in the world. It's not going to be maybe as loud from the news and the media and stuff like that, but if you focus on the positive things, that's going to be your experience of the world. Now, I don't think you should blind yourself to all the bad things that are going on and only focus on the good. This is not about being an unrealistic optimist, because I do know that in life there are some just really crappy things that happen in our life and in the world, and so I'm not trying to blind you of that, but focusing on the bad and having a negative mindset doesn't help any of this. Another one of my favorite quotes is from Zig Ziglar, and it's, "Positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking will." So it's not that positive thinking and a positive attitude will allow you to do anything you've ever wanted to achieve, but it's hands down a much better approach than having just a negative mindset, negative thinking, and being a pessimist about everything. And when it comes to achieving your health and fitness goals, I really believe that your mindset does matter most. I think having accurate education and a good strategy is super important. Of course, it's important to know what to eat at the right time, to know how to exercise at the right time, and having state-of-the-art workouts like you do in the 10-week transformation. Those things are important. But the mindset will lead to the execution. The mindset will lead to the consistency. The right approach will get you the results, but the right mindset will allow you to sustain them. With that said, today I want to break down 4 topics or 4 areas in which your mindset matters most. 4 areas in which the way that you think can dramatically change the way that you act. And if you think the wrong way, it's going to lead you down a bad road to bad results. But if you can think the right way, it will lead you to become the person that you wish to become. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to talk about today is how your focus dictates your emotions. If you're taking notes, that's part number 1. Your focus dictates your emotions. What you focus on expands. Whatever is taking up space in your mind is simply a product of what you're focusing on. And there's really 3 common mistakes that people make with regard to their focus. And if you change your focus, it will lead you to a much better mindset and much better outcome. So again, if you're taking notes, part 1 is your focus dictates your emotions, but then there's going to be 3 subparts to this. The first of which is focus on what you can control versus what you can't control. People spend so much of their damn time, excuse my language, focusing on what they can't control rather than what they can. You can't control the weather. You can't control who's going to win the upcoming election. You can't control who your parents are. You can't control where you grow up, how much money your parents have or don't have, and a lot of circumstances that are thrown at you. And you can't control a lot of outcomes in life. But so many people spend so much time worrying and complaining about these things day in and day out and blaming them. And if you blame something you can't control, you render yourself useless. You render yourself hopeless. It gets you absolutely nowhere. The right approach is to focus on what you can control. You know, when I was in high school, I know my coaches always told us in football and baseball that you can control 2 things. You can control your attitude and your effort. And I absolutely loved that. And I've held that close to me ever since. You can also choose what you consume, though. You can choose who you follow on social media. You can choose what shows you watch, what podcasts you listen to, and what you watch on YouTube and who you hang around. And I hope that listening to this podcast provide you with positivity and optimism more than anything else. And you can also choose your actions. You can choose whether or not you go to the gym, whether or not you make time to go to the grocery store. You can choose what you actually put in your mouth. Funny enough, one of the Zig Ziglar quotes is, I never ate anything on accident. I knew exactly what I was doing every single time I put something in my mouth. And so if you can change your focus from things you can't control to things that you can control, you're going to be much better off. Part 2 of this, your focus dictates your emotions, is knowing how to appropriately focus on the past, the present, and the future. Look, time is a funny thing. How we perceive time, how we reflect on time, and how we focus on time largely impacts our mindset. A lot of people just live in the past. These people talk and think about their past all the time. Sometimes it's good memories and sometimes it's not. If you're reflecting on good memories with friends and family, that's fine. Look, I'm all for that. But if you're hanging your hat on good memories and getting complacent because of your past successes, then in my eyes, it does you no good. And it'll just keep you stuck where you are and just being proud of all the things that you've done in the past. So I think the past is for learning from and reflecting on, but not dwelling and ruminating on. Because the past is exactly that. It's the past. You can't do anything about it. You can't change it. It's done. So let's learn from it and let's move on. Instead, spend most of your time focusing on the present and the future. Knowing how to balance when to focus on the present and when to focus on the future is an art. It's not a science. I know me personally, sometimes I almost focus too much on the future rather than just be present. Sometimes I'm just planning for the next day, just planning for the next week, just planning future goals rather than just being happy in the current time. So it's really an art, not a science. Most of us are striving to be more present, or as Jesse Itzler likes to say, be where our feet are. And that's really important. It helps us to be grateful, to not let time pass us by, and to soak in the small things and to have meaningful conversations. But sometimes just focusing on the present leads us to behaviors that are just pleasurable in the moment. It leads us to immediate gratification. It can lead us to eating a tub of ice cream. It can lead us to cheating on our significant other. It can lead us to overspending on something that we just really want now. So we want to be focusing on the present sometimes, but also focused on the future and others. While tomorrow I know is not promised, that doesn't mean you can't always just live for today, because for a lot of us, tomorrow is going to come. For a lot of us, next week will come. For a lot of us, next month, next year, 5 years, and 10 years from now will come. So you can't completely ignore the future version of yourself. Look, there are times to eat that ice cream now. So because you're not going to completely derail all your health and fitness progress in the future. So there's time to eat ice cream now. There's times to drink a little bit of alcohol. There's times to buy that car that you really want. But at the same time, you need to be thinking about the future version of yourself, because if you eat too much ice cream now and you do that repeatedly, then you might be a little bit overweight in the future. If you drink too much alcohol now, then the future version of yourself that you're going to be tomorrow morning is probably going to be in a little bit of pain. If you spend too much on that car and it doesn't fit in your budget, then you might not be able to put a down payment on a house in a year, 2 years, 5 years. So finding out the right balance and the right circumstances to focus on the present and please the current version of yourself versus focusing on the future version of yourself is an art, not a science. So to summarize, I like to say, learn from the past, don't dwell on it. Be in the present moment while also setting the future version of yourself up for your success. To hit the third subpart of your focus dictates your emotions. The third subpart is focus on what you have versus what you don't have. Those of you guys in the 10-week transformation, you know every single Thursday, we start off with Thankful Thursday. I think the habit of gratitude and the habit of communicating your gratitude with other people just rises all tides. Because when you hear what somebody else is thankful for, then that uplifts you as well. So focusing on what you have, what you don't have is super, super key. Look, another thing that we have issues with in today's society is issues with comparison. I mean, they've never been worse than they are today. With social media, endless TV shows, we have so much insight into other people's lives, and it leads us to compare ourselves to them. We compare our abilities to them. We compare our house to theirs. We compare our cars, our meals, our income, our looks. We compare so many things to theirs. And that puts us sometimes in a state of lack. If we're in a state of feeling less than, it's a recipe for negative emotions. But the reality is that every single one of us, you and me, have so many things that we do have in life that we should be grateful for. Whether that's where you were born, whether that's your family members, your job, your skills, your talents, your 2 arms and 2 legs, your ability to see, your bed, a warm shower. There are countless things that if you just recognize them and are aware of them, can immediately uplift your spirits and provide you with perspective. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. I really think that the way to do this is to center yourself with a daily gratitude practice. I like to have a daily gratitude practice every single morning, and I like to say those things out loud, and I also like to communicate them with my 10WT members on Thursday. Now, the second topic, after your focus will dictate your emotions. That's part number 1 of today's episode. The second topic is how you respond to a negative situation. How do you respond to a flat tire? How do you respond to your kid getting sick at school and needing to go pick them up? How do you respond to losing your job? How do you respond to getting injured? The second topic is going to be a list of 3 questions to ask yourself when a negative circumstance or negative situation arises. Question number 1 is, how is this happening for me and not to me? Because if you injured your knee, let's say, maybe instead of it happening to you and taking on the victim mentality, maybe it happened for you. Maybe you can now focus on more upper body exercises in the gym. Maybe now you can focus on your push-ups and your pull-ups. You can shift how you perceive the situation when you ask yourself how it happened for you and not to you. The second question is, what does this now make possible? Maybe now that you're injured, you're unable to go for as many daily walks as you normally do, but now instead of those 30-minute walks, maybe you can read a book that you've really been wanting to read. Maybe because a door closing might be a door opening for another area of your life. So again, if one door closes or one window of time can't be spent how you used to spend it, how can you use that same window of time in another productive manner? So the second question is, what does this now make possible? The third one is, what do I still have to be thankful for? Let's stay with that injury situation. You can be like, yes, I hurt my knee, but I'm still thankful that I have family members that can help take care of me. I'm thankful to have a good doctor to go to. I'm thankful to have health insurance. When a negative situation occurs, there are still plenty of ways that we can count our blessings to keep our perspective and keep our mindsets high. Now, look, don't hear what I'm not saying. I know certain situations absolutely suck. I know getting injured is absolutely no fun. I know getting a flat tire can be a big blow to your day. But if you stay in a negative emotional state, if you stay pissed off, frustrated, mad, angry, or depressed, then nothing good is going to come from it. Having a positive mindset will allow you to do everything better than having a negative mindset will allow you to do. So if you can flip the script by asking yourself those 3 questions, it's going to leave you off in a much better place. Again, those 3 questions when a bad situation happens is the following. Number 1, how is this happening for me and not to me? Number 2, what does this now make possible? And number 3, what do I still have to be thankful for? The third topic we're going to get in today is about expectation setting. So the first one is your focus dictates your emotions with 3 subparts. The second one is how to approach a bad situation with 3 questions. This third one is all about expectation setting, because another thing that dictates our emotions is oftentimes dictated by our expectations. If you don't expect it to be celebrated on your birthday and then somebody throws you a surprise party, I mean, you are elated because reality exceeded your expectations. If you expect someone to be there for you after going through a tough breakup and they don't come to comfort you, then you're upset because reality fell short of your expectations. If you lose more weight than you expected, you're going to be fired up. But if you didn't lose as much weight as you wanted to, you're going to be frustrated. Again, whether reality exceeded or was less than your expectations will dictate the following emotion. Think about the example of this. Let's say Sarah is somebody who expects to lose 15 pounds in the 10-week transformation, let's say. Let's say Rachel is somebody who expects to lose 5 pounds. I'm just throwing out random names here. But let's say both of them happen to lose 10 pounds. What happens? Sarah's frustrated, Rachel's pumped. Same exact result, but Sarah had too high of an expectation while Rachel had too low of an expectation. Now, don't hear me wrong. We should hold ourselves to high standards. We should have high expectations from ourselves, but that depends on what we're actually thinking about. When it comes to tangible outcomes, things that we cannot control, we should manage our expectations. When we come to talk about things that we can control, we can have high standards for ourselves. So we should manage our expectations for things we cannot control. We should have high standards for ourselves when it comes to things that we can control. I think that we kind of have faulty expectations on three different things as well. So this is kind of three different subparts to this expectation conversation as well. The three things are ourselves, the people around us, and our results. So let's start with ourselves. We often place faulty and unrealistic expectations on ourselves. We think that we should be this level of intelligent. We think we should be this strong. We should be this fast. We should weigh a certain number on the scale. But in reality, these expectations that we're placing on ourselves are mainly not based in truth. These expectations are largely adopted from what other people say, other people do, what other people weigh, etc. But you are a unique individual, and your expectations should have to do with you and you alone. It's not like you should weigh 150 pounds just because he or she weighs 150 pounds. You shouldn't be able to do 20 push-ups just because somebody else can do 20 push-ups. You should place the expectations on you based off of your personal experience and your life. The second place that we often place faulty expectations is the people around us, because we oftentimes expect others to be a certain way or to act a certain way and to say certain things. But in my eyes, I think it's pretty self-centered and pretty selfish to place these kinds of expectations on others, because who am I to expect somebody else to say a certain thing? Who am I to expect somebody else to show up in a particular way? Like, sure, it's nice when people do nice things for me, but I shouldn't expect people to act a certain way. I should just see it as a nicety of life. I should just see it as a blessing rather than something that should happen. So let's ensure that we're not placing unrealistic expectations on other people in our life as well. And lastly, we often place faulty expectations on our results. This is kind of the same thing I talked about earlier. We should not place high expectations necessarily on things we cannot control, like our results. We should be placing higher standards on ourselves for things that we can control. So the fourth topic that I want to get into today, and to round out how our mindset matters most and how to build an unshakable mindset that will guarantee success, is this concept of instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Now look, in our like microwave, Google, Siri, and Amazon Prime world, we are conditioned to believe that we can get anything we want in just a matter of seconds. And we often think that we deserve these things in just a matter of seconds. But in some cases, maybe that's true, because we can get a lot of things instantly nowadays, because there are like microwavable meals that only take a matter of minutes to prepare. And we can basically get a quick answer to a lot of things by using Siri, Google, YouTube, or Chat GPT. Now, sometimes the accuracy might not always be there, and oftentimes we do have Amazon Prime that can deliver things right away, but that leads us to believe that other things can also happen on a shorter time horizon than they actually can. And that leads us to a lack of patience, and it leads us to want results now, to want the quick fix, to want the easy way out, to want to take the Ozempic. I'm sorry if you take Ozempic and that works for you, great. Conversation for another day. But for a lot of desirable results in life, actions and results are not always closely related in time and space. You can't work out once and expect to look jacked. You can't have one good meal and expect to lose weight. We have to play the long game. I think that having the ability to suppress instant gratification and embrace delayed gratification will increasingly become a superpower in this world that we live in. This looks like saying no to ice cream now so that you can lose weight later. This looks like going through a grueling workout now so you can be stronger later. This looks like saying no to buying a watch or a new car right now so you can invest the money for your future. Let patience be your superpower. Remember what I said before. We want to set the future version of ourselves up for success. Instant gratification might provide you with pleasure now, but it can lead to regret later. Delayed gratification might mean sacrifice in the moment, but it'll lead to fulfillment later. There are so many things that you can't control in life, but you can largely control what goes on in between your ears. And that's what this episode has been all about, how to control what's going on in between your ears, your mindset, and your perspective. And look, after coaching over 700 people in the 10-week transformation, I have found that yes, the X's and O's matter, but they only matter as a secondary step to having a strong, unshakable mindset. Because like the reps and the sets, the right form, the right kind of exercises, the calories, the macros, the meal timing, the protein, the fiber, all of that stuff matters, but you're never going to be consistent with it if you don't have the right mindset. Because if you don't have the right mindset, you won't stick with the habits long term. You won't have resiliency when bad things happen, and you won't have the right perspective when temptation arises. So remember these few things. Your focus dictates your emotions. Focus on what you can control. Focus on the present and the future appropriately, and focus on what you do have. Remember to take ownership over how you respond to bad situations by asking yourself good questions like, how is this happening for me, not to me? What does this make possible? And what do I still have to be thankful for? And remember to set proper expectations on yourself, on others, and on your results. Manage your expectations when it comes to things you cannot control, and set high standards for yourself when it comes to things you can control. And remember to embrace delayed gratification over instant gratification. Instant gratification might provide you with pleasure now, but it will often provide you with regret later. Yeah, delayed gratification might provide you with a sense of I'm having to sacrifice now, but it will provide you with fulfillment later. Remember, your mindset matters most. If you guys need help developing this type of mindset and you need more motivation in order to do it, you need to be on the lookout for the 10-week transformation schedule in 2025. Our first one will be starting in the middle of January, and you guys, 2025, we are taking things to a whole new level. I'm so excited to get people better results faster, even though we're going to maintain patience, but I'm super excited to take things to a whole new level. You can go to nickcarrier.com/10WT to learn more about the 10WT, and you can follow me on Instagram at carrier_bestyou. But if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button so you're notified when new episodes are coming out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, because I want to continue to help you guys get closer to the healthiest version of yourself and ultimately get you closer and closer to your best you.